This is an example of solving a linear inequality problem type 4. You need to remember that when you're solving an inequality, it's you solve it just like you would an equation, but you need to remember that when you multiply or divide by a negative number, you must change the direction of the inequality. Now, I have two examples here. So one of the things you want to remember is when you have fractions in your equation or inequalities, you're going to solve them the same way. What I suggest you do is, because it's an equation or inequality, you can get rid of the fractions by multiplying both sides by the common denominator. So you only have one denominator here, so that makes it easy. Your denominator is 5. So you're going to multiply both sides of the inequality by 5. And that will allow you to get rid of the fraction here and solve it like you would some of the other problems you've been doing. So don't freak out just because you see a fraction. Okay? Remember, you can do this because of the rules of equations and inequalities. If you do something to one side, you have to do the same thing to the other. Okay, so let's go ahead and simplify this. You need to distribute the 5 into both terms here. And you have 5 times 4x, that gives you 20x, minus 5 times 3, which is 15. This is greater than or equal to. Now you're going to take this 5 and you're going to distribute it through here. Now remember, I'll just put this down here, that you have a negative 2/5 times 5, or 5 over 1. So now when you're multiplying these together, you can simplify these 5s. Both of these can be divided by 5, so that gives you 1 and 1, and you get a negative 2 over 1, which is a negative 2. So this becomes a negative 2x. And then 5 times 7 is 35. So now you have this inequality. You have x's on both sides and numbers on both sides, constant. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and let's get the two, combine the like terms. So we need to move the negative 2x over to the other side. So we do that by adding a positive 2x to both sides. So that's going to give you 22x. Now I like to go ahead at the same time deal with the number values here too. So I want the x's on the left, so I want the numbers on the right. So let's move this minus 15. So you do that by adding a positive 15 to both sides. So, and this gives you 50. So this is going to be greater than or equal to 50. Now what we're going to do is we're going to divide both sides by 22, and that's a positive number, so the direction of the inequality stays the same. We get 50 over 22. Now 50 and 22 are both even numbers, so we know we can divide them both by 2. So we're going to simplify that. 50 divided by 2 is 25. 22 divided by 2 is 11. So x is greater than or equal to 25 over 11. Okay, so there's one example. What I suggest you do at this point is pause the video, write down this question, and solve it, and see if you get the same answer as me. Okay? So to solve this one, I see that my denominator is 3. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. Let's change the color here just so it's a little different. Multiply this side by 3 as well, because what I do to one side, I have to do the same thing to the other. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and distribute the 3 into both terms on this side. So 3 times a negative 2/3 x. The 3's will end up canceling each other out, and it leaves me with a negative 2x. And then 3 times 5 is a positive 15, so I say plus 15. It's less than. I'm going to go ahead and distribute this 3 through onto this side to both of these terms. And 3 times 3x is 9x. And 3 times a negative 1 is a negative 3, so I write minus 3. Okay, so now we have this inequality here. We've got, let's put our x's on the same side and our numbers on the same on the other side. So I'm going to move this 9x over to the left, so it's a positive 9x, so I'm going to subtract 9x from both sides. And 2x minus 9x is the same thing as a negative 2x plus a negative 9x, which gives me a negative 11x. Okay, and then I want to get rid of this 15. I want it over to the right, so I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. And so this is a negative 3 plus a negative 15, and that is going to give me a negative 18. And now I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 11 so that I can have the x by itself on this side of the inequality, on the left side. So when I divide by a negative, I've got to change the direction of my inequality. And a negative 18 over a negative 11, you need to simplify, because a negative divided by a negative would give me a positive. So x is greater than 18 over 11. And it doesn't simplify any further than that. And you can leave these, if you've noticed, I've left them in the improper fraction form, and that's fine.